This is Arcane Odyssey, a Roblox RPG developed by VTEX Games, which I believe is the best game on the platform right now. Why is it the best? And I'm gonna tell you in this video. Now, before I'd like to get started with this video, Arcane Odyssey is not a complete game. It is currently in early access. You can play through the first two parts of the game, the Bronze Sea and the Nimbus Sea. Just to keep things simple, I will only be covering the Bronze Sea portion of the game, as that is already finished and I don't want to work on an incomplete game. The player wakes up on Dawn Island with no memory and finds Morden, who is burying a person called Tucker. After a brief conversation between the two, the player heads off to Redwake. Once there, they take down some pirates and perform community service. Afterwards, they go to this place called a Silent Ire, who fights and defeats a monk called Shura. Then the player goes to Frostmill Island to look for a person called Halfred. Afterwards, he tells you about people complaining that the island's melting, and after defeating some brigands, finds that a woman called Iris is the reason for melting the island. After defeating her, she explains that her father was arrested by a kingdom called Ravenna, and so she set out to sabotage them in any way possible. She then leaves the player to go to a place called the Stepstones. The player themselves travels to the Stepstones and meets a wanderer called Ren, who explains that he's looking for someone. After climbing the Stepstones to a place called Cirrus Island, you meet up with Iris again, and she says that there were mysterious hooded figures dragging a bleeding man, and a prince called Naviro explained that some of them are still in the sky. After some fighting, the player and Ren find out that the hooded figures are part of the Order of Acer, the main bad guys of the game. The player heads to the Jinn ruins and defeats several Order members and confronts Lord Elias as a boss fight. After returning to Cirrus Island and explaining everything to Iris, she suggests that we go to the Sailor's Lodge to gather more information about the Order. After arriving at Sailor's Lodge, you meet Morden again. After telling him about the Order of Acer, Morden explains how he tried to track down the hooded figures that went to a place called Fort Talos. You get information from members of Ravenna how to enter undetected. After infiltrating the base, he leaves a note to you as he goes to obtain a death curse as per Beringa's request. Just to explain, there's these things called sea curses, which when touched give you immense power, and they can change the tide in any war. After finding Beringa, who is a friend of Ren, he tells the player to leave the two. After eavesdropping on a person called General Argos, you battle him as another boss fight and end up destroying the fortress. After escaping from the fortress, you head to Ravenna and find out that the mayor has been kidnapped. You head to the poor district of the land, Tiberia, and confront the kidnappers. They say that the king is corrupt and advise you to leave. After news gets out that you killed the general. As you arrive at the Shining Plains, Lady Karina, a noble, shows up and gets in a fight with you. After defeating her, you get ambushed and sent to prison to work in the Eternal Mines for your crimes. You stay in there for months until your friends save you. After exiting the Eternal Mines, you confront King Calvis himself, revealing him to be a High Lord of the Order. After killing him, you go to a place called Windrow Island to seek refuge. After escaping to Windrow Island, Ren reveals his real name to be Warren, and he tells you that you need to meditate in order to obtain something called an awakening, which is basically just a power-up. After meditating at different places, you hear a voice from a god telling you to go to Mount Orifs to seek their destiny. After going there, you meet the King of the Sea Poseidon, who grants you your first awakening. After that, the gang heads to Nimbus Sea to prevent a war between two different kingdoms after Calvus's death. So the game starts you off with 4 basic stats: Vitality, Magic, Strength and Weapons, and these all play into which build you want to make and what suits you best. There's tons of different moves you can make with your magic, or your fighting style if you want to put points in a strength. Now you might recognize this system from Blox Fruits if you played that game, but there's a big difference between these two. One of those games is Terrible, and the other one is called Arcane Odyssey. The movement is focused around a stamina bar, so for example you got climbing, high jumping. You can use your moves in mid-air if you want to get an extra boost, but that depends on what you're using. There's different chests you can find along the map, and you can dive to cover lots of horizontal distance. Your actual moves are based around an energy bar you have on the bottom left here. You can even charge your attacks so they deal more damage, but in return you'll lose more energy. However, you can hold shift to recharge it. This includes your weapons too, using them needs energy. Now in this game you have a ship you can control. At first you start off with a simple sailboat, but you can spend the currency in the game called galleons to purchase larger boats like this ketch I have here. Now, even though it might seem a little annoying having to grind for so much galleons, I don't think it's that difficult. Compared to other games, Arcane Odyssey probably has some of the easiest grinding. Now, it would be a bit difficult to list out everything the game has to offer, so I'm just going to display a list of them right here. You got buried treasure, pirate ship battles, bounty hunting and crime, optional bosses, refights, online clans, public leaderboards, over 100 side quests, fishing, cooking, potions, jewelry making, learning fighting styles, and exploring outside of the map via the Dark Sea. In conclusion, Arcane Odyssey, for me, is easily the best game on Roblox right now currently. It's better than Blox Fruits, better than Strongest Battlegrounds, better than Pet Simulator, pretty much anything. Even other games I like, for example Detriment, which you can check out my review video on that game. But anyways, hopefully this has given you some insight into what this game is all about, even if I've only covered half of it technically. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video where I talk about simulator games and how they're made. Adios.